Hey veterans, it's JB coming to you live. I want to share with you the two things that you must understand with your VA disability claim process. Once you have submitted it to the Evidence Intake Center, you have to worry about the opinion from the CMP examiner, and you have to worry about, are you compliant to the law? And at New Life Veterans, we make sure, in fact, we guarantee that your claim packet will be compliant to the law. What law am I talking about? This is a decision letter, my own decision letter. After you go through your decision letter, it goes to the section that says reason for decision. And the first thing that one of my claims disability was service connection for post-traumatic stress disorder with major depressive disorder and alcohol use disorder. Now, I told you guys November 6, 1992, I got sucker punched in the nose, right? So let's go and read the service connection for post-traumatic stress disorder with major depressive disorder and alcohol use has been established and is directly related to military service. Now, if you look closely, when they said that, there's one thing you need to look at is the law. 38 CFR 3.303 and 38 CFR 3.304. This is the law that's not your friend, or it could be your friend if you use our service and know how to use it in your favor to win, okay? Now, let's move right along. An evaluation of 70% is assigned from November 27, 2018, effective the date on which we received your intent to file. There's a lesson also in this video is that I did an intent to file, and so they recognize that in the decision letter for compensation as completed application was received within 1 year of this date. Now, they even quote a law again, 38 CFR 3.400 on the intent to file. 38 CFR, the Code of Federal Regulations 3.400, 38 CFR 3.155. That's the law that you have to comply with on intent to file. If you become a customer of ours at the New Life Insider program, I'm going to tell you right away. And I know this video is probably pretty dark, but I want you to read this thing so it stick out on the screen here about how powerful the law is and the CMP examiner's opinion. Because that's going to be your enemy. Most veterans are just rolling the dice and not understanding what they're using to connect. They always say, oh, well, I got a diagnosis. Well, there's some elements. We have assigned a 70% evaluation for your post-traumatic stress disorder with major depressive disorder and alcohol use disorder based on what? Forgetting names. I do forget a lot of names. Occupational and social impairment with deficiencies in most areas such as work, school, family relations, judgment, thinking, or mood. Depressed mood, disturbances of motivation, mild memory loss. I have a lot of memory loss. My girlfriend says all the time, I forget things. Forgetting recent events. Now, the other, chronic sleep impairment, difficulty adapting to stressful circumstances, difficulty adapting to work. I haven't worked since 2009. Flattened effect, difficulty in adapting to work-life setting, anxiety, difficult in establishing and maintaining effective work and social relationships, forgetting directions. These are all symptoms. The overall evidentiary record, the overall evidentiary record shows that the severity of the disability must closely approximate the criteria for a 70% disability evaluation. I want to stop right there. They're saying that the evidence that I submitted on record meets the severity of the 70% according to, again, what? The law. 38 CFR 4.7, 38 CFR 4.126. They're using law on every sentence to make the clarification of why they made the decision. Now it says a higher evaluation of 100% is not warranted because of my symptoms, unless the evidence shows total occupation and social, such as symptoms as gross impairment, thought processes, persistent delusions or hallucinations. This is also law. So your severity, your rating is tied to the law as well. How are you going to defeat them if you don't know this? That's why you want to use our program so we can get you compliant, so you know the correct law that dictates the severity, because it's not enough to get service connected. Some of you are so excited, you get service connected at 30% when your symptoms were showing not 70%, but you're so excited because you rolled the dice and didn't know the rules to the game and didn't comply to the law, so you just take it on the chin and think you won. Then when you wake up, you want to file again and try to get an increase. Now, if you knew it ahead of time, you wouldn't have to go through this, okay? So the reason why I got this video so dark is because I want you guys to see in black and white. This is my decision letter. Service connection for pseudofolliculitis barber. This is bumps on the chin. This is all supported by 38 CFR 3.3. Same law, okay? An evaluation of 30% is assigned for November 27, 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, I submitted all my claims the same time. I have the same effective date on everything because I filed 11 disabilities at once. All right? The effective date received, here you go, quoting again, the law on the intent to file date. If you don't have an intent to file date, you better call the 1-800 number, 827-1000 today and set up an intent to file. Okay? We have assigned a 30% evaluation for your pseudofolliculitis barbae based on the characteristic lesions affecting 20 to 40% of your exposed areas. This is also law. Additional symptoms, characteristic lesions involving at least 5% but less than 20% of the entire body. No more than topical therapy required over the past 12-month period. See, these are all laws. Higher evaluations will be also warranted based on disfigurement of the head, face, or neck. Scars considered disabling due to the limitation function of the affected part. Painful, unstable scars. What are they using again? 38 CFR. The moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot beat them unless you get compliant to the law. And that's the reason why I say this all the time, that you got to get compliant to the law. Now, Tinea versicolor, another one I got granted for. Again, they quoted the law. And then they said evaluation 30%. They got another 38 CFR. Then they said we have assigned a 30% because your symptoms, no more than topical therapy, required the last 12 months. Moving right along. Here's dependent education assistance. This is now how you know that you get 100% permanent total when you got chapter 35 in your decision letter. So,
motion detected at wraparound porch camera.
Now let's go for a denial. When I got hit in my nose, it messed with my muscles in my eye, so therefore I have a lazy eye. Okay? And so I filed service connection for exotropia, that's what they call the condition, as secondary to a traumatic brain injury. Okay? The traumatic brain injury is considered as a concussion. You've been knocked unconscious. Okay? So, while your service treatment records reflect complaints, treatment, or diagnosis similar to the claimed medical evidence supports the conclusion that a persistent disability was not present in service. They denied me using 38 CFR 3.3. There was no continuity of symptoms. I talk about this all the time. Continuity means from the time you got out till you started complaining to them. There was no continuity of symptoms from service to the present. Okay? 38 CFR 3.3. We receive your medical evidence, which discusses the symptoms of the medical condition. The evidence does not show the condition resulted from or aggravated by service. Here again, 38 CFR. All day long, they're quoting law to you. We did not find a link between your medical condition and military service. The VA medical opinion found no link between your diagnosed medical condition and military service. At QTC, now this is QTC, this is the contracted doctors company that the VA hires, dated January 20th, 2020. The examiner indicated the claim condition is less than likely not, this is an opinion, 50% probability, approximately due to the result of a service-connected TBI, the traumatic brain injury. So they're saying that my traumatic brain injury was not still affecting me in 2020 when I submitted this, so I couldn't have exotropia, which is a lie. The trauma in 1992, it's in my decision letter. That's why I know you got to be Trump tight. I told you I got into a fight November 6, 1992. Here it is in my decision letter. There is no trauma in 1992 and the diagnosis of exotropia in 2018 when I did my intent to file given that there are no medical records pertaining to exotropia that existed for 26 years. They put this in here. Right here, 26 years. Therefore, it's less likely than not that the claimed condition is due to TBI. Now, I could have did a higher level review and warned this, but the reason why I didn't is because I had already got 100%. Okay? So, the favorable findings. The contract examiner confirms the diagnosis of exotropia. You have been diagnosed with disability. Now, service connection for migraines. They denied that under the same law. I can go on and on. They continue to use the law. Okay? See, here's my date. The record dated November 6, 1992 showed veteran was hit in the nose with a loss of consciousness. Is that not a TBI? But they're saying I don't have a TBI currently, so they can't give me the TBI. So therefore, the secondaries can't get to be secondary to the TBI. And residual nasal fracture. So I got knocked unconscious, a nasal fracture. However, there is no evidence of chronic headaches. There are no medical records showing progressive or longitudinal migraine diagnosis. Treatment for the migraine condition happened many years after active service. A VES, this is another company, contract examiner dated December 21st, 2019, that the examiner indicated there are no signs or symptoms related to resolved TBI. That's what they're trying to get off at. They're saying my loss of consciousness has been resolved of all these years. There's no way I could have migraines. There's no way I could have exotropia. I could have fought them. So they denied me. So service connection for migraine headaches is denied since the condition neither occurred in nor was caused by service. Now, you know that's a lie because I had the unconsciousness, the TBI. So, but if you don't fight them, they're gonna give you the business, okay? All right. Favorable findings in this condition. QTC, contract examiner, confirms the diagnosis of migraines. Okay, here it is. Service connection for traumatic brain injury. They denied me. With your service treatment records reflect complaints, treatment similar to that claim, there was no continuity. We talk about chronicity and continuity of symptoms persistent. We received your medical evidence, which discussed the symptoms of your medical condition. Although some evidence supports your claim, we found other medical evidence more persuasive because it's supported by an accurate account of medical history and or is the most detailed and reliable depiction of medical condition. Again, they quote in the law, 38 CFR 4.6. While some evidence supports your claim, we found that other medical evidence more persuasive because it's not supported by relative military or personal history. Quote the law again, 38 CFR 4.6. The evidence does not show a current diagnosed disability. The VA medical opinion found no persistent disability. At VES contract examination, here goes the opinion of the contract examiners, December 21st, 2019, the examiner indicated that you have in the past have a diagnosis of a traumatic brain injury, but now the condition has been resolved and no residuals. Okay, so service connection may be granted. Here's the law again. Favorable findings. An in-service injury is confirmed based on concussion shown in your service treatment records dated November 6, 1992. A nexus or link has been established between your claim issue and in-service event. The evidence shows that a qualifying event or disease had its onset during service. So, ladies and gentlemen, you got to be compliant to the law. And if you want to be compliant to the law, let's do a consult. Let's get on the phone for 30 minutes. Sorry that the video was so dark on my face, but I wanted you to see this in black and white. Talk to you soon. I'll see you on the next consult.